Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to cover this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you should be. You can find the link in the description of the video and in the bio section of social media, Twitter and StockTwits and stuff like that. Obviously, we had today off because of President's Day. These kind of days are the easiest for the stock market to get manipulated, because when the market is actually closed, futures are open, and that's when you usually see a lot of the manipulation in the futures market, because it's easy to manipulate. They'll walk it up, and Friday I ended up grabbing some SPY calls. Even though SPY closed at higher day after an insane pop, I still grabbed it anyways, assuming we were going to have a gap up, and Monday was going to be a manipulated day. And it looks like so far as of right now that has worked out, but anything can happen later in the day or overnight tonight. So that's the risk of playing overnight plays, but we'll have to see what happens in the morning. But anyways, with that being said, I only have a couple on the bearish list, actually only two, and I'm expecting that the market is just going to keep grinding up and grinding up until something happens. Now, when something does happen, I'll switch my thesis and go on the short side very, very fast. But who knows how far they'll keep pushing this thing up. I mean, this thing could get pushed all the way to 400, or we could end up getting a big dump tomorrow. So we'll just have to see what happens tomorrow when tomorrow gets here. But with that said, Baidu is up on the chart. Now, Baidu has just been extremely overbought. I mean, it's 85 RSI on the weekly, and that's just so extreme. And as you can see, when it gets over the 275, it just it gets rejected over here. But yet this past week it popped over it, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it comes back down and retests this 265 area. But I would watch it underneath the 310 area for a push to 303, 304. Then you get a little bit of a gap right here at the well, 300 would be a big psychological number area, so it could bounce right there. But you got a little gap right down here to 295, and then you get the 271, then you get the 265, but that'd be a pretty substantial drop for even Baidu. If I mean, I can do that. I mean, this is a this area right here is from 256 to 225. So I mean, that is a 30-point drop right there. So it quite possibly can drop 30 points. We'll have to see. It did it right here, a pretty big drop. So we'll have to see what happens. And if it can do that, what the market will let it do. And the other one is Roku. Roku's got earnings coming up. There hasn't been that many stocks that are running into earnings, but Roku just keeps going and going and going, and this thing just does not like to pull back. I thought this past week or two it was going to pull back, and it didn't. It keeps just steamrolling forward, but the RSI just needs to cool off, and maybe it will start to pull back this week. But I'm thinking, yeah, underneath 460 for a push down to the 450 area. You could say 448, but yeah, 450. And if it gets below the 448 area, you get this 435 area, and then you have 421, 420. So that'd be a pretty big, significant pullback for Roku. I mean, this went from, what's the high of this candle? 443.85 to 383, so that was a 60-point drop right there. So 60 points could, if it was a 60-point drop like it was back here, I mean, that would probably bring it down to the 408 level. So that'd be right in here. So it would probably line up with the 410 if it did drop that much. It'd be a pretty significant drop for Roku, but Roku needs, the RSI on the weekly just needs to cool off. It's been diverging for a long time. I mean, the RSI is going down as it's making higher highs, so on the daily. So eventually Roku will pull back. The question is just when. Now, as far as the bullish side, now remember, I post a bearish side. So if the market's weak, those stocks I watch on the bearish side will end up having the greatest opportunities for a larger move. And the ones on the bullish list, if the market's green or keeps grinding up, they'll provide the biggest moves too. So Fedex is on the top of the list on the bullish side. Fedex is starting to turn around right here now. It turned around right in here on the daily, and it broke out over this 255 256 area, and when it did, it came back and retested it. Now that's a good sign for whenever you have a breakout, like you have a back test. Usually that means a continuation move on the daily. So I would watch it over the high of day on Friday of 263.13. You could just say 264, give it a little bit of room for a push to let's see, 267 would be a pretty big area. Then 270, then you get about 270, 275. 275 will be a really big area. So I think that would be probably the target area I would look at on Fedex. Now if it manages to get really strong and break out of that 275 area, 280, and you get 280, 285. So pretty much $5 intervals after you get over the 275. So definitely be watching Fedex. Lulu. Now Lulu, it just on the weekly, it's just making a symmetrical triangle. So I mean, you just can flip a coin which way it can go. But I'm always thinking it's gonna go up because Lululemon just has just insane strength anytime it has any decent pullbacks. Like right here, it gets bought up, and here it got bought up. So I'm thinking if it can get over the 347 area, that I would definitely go long on calls for a push to 360. Then you get 370, 375, and you get 380. Now 380 has been tough for ROKU Lululemon to get over. So if it does get over 380, resistance is gonna be like let's just say right here, right at 385. Then obviously you're gonna have this all-time high of 399.90, which would be 400. Didn't even tag 400. It was 10 cents short from hitting 400. I'm just surprised you just didn't push it just another 10 cents just to get that nice fat round number of 400, but it didn't. But that's what I'll be watching on Lululemon. Now when it had earnings, and the earnings weren't that great, but the earnings losses are getting better as far as the losses aren't as much. So that's usually a good sign. You get a big cup and handle, you get a cup right here and a little bit of a handle. So it gets over this 119 area, even 120. It's probably going to push to I'll have to use the weekly. Let's say 125, 130, 138. You could even say 139. Then you get the 140. Obviously, be a big round number. Then over 140, you'd have the 145. So I think the win has enough in it that if it can get over the 119, 120 area, it's probably going to end up breaking out, making a push to 140. Tesla's just been getting hammered on the hourly. So it did bounce a little on Friday. I mean, it double bottom right here, underneath 800. So 800 level did get bought up. So if it gets over the 820, it's probably going to push to 840, then 860. It gets over 860, 880 is another big area. Then you get 890, 885, 890, then 900. It's possible that we could see a strong move in Tesla this week. So if it does manage to get over 820, we could definitely see a push to 900. Now, if it gets close to 900, it's probably going to break out. So Tesla just loves to, as you can see right here, it consolidates in a little bit of an area, then just breaks out and consolidates for an area and breaks out. Now it's doing the same thing. Now, if it can get some momentum behind it and get up to the 900 level, it's probably going to break out and go to 900 plus. So, I mean, obviously, if it breaks out, it's going to be 900, but you could see probably 950, maybe even 1,000, because anytime it breaks out, 341, I mean, it's a pretty substantial move. It's almost 100-point move every time. 500 to 600. Yeah, it's almost a 100-point move. So if it does break it out of 900, 100-point move, we'll send it to 1,000. So we'll have to see if that will happen or not. Netflix is another one. Netflix is, you know, it's at the top of the channel on the weekly. If the market keeps grinding up and Netflix has got some strength behind it, I mean, there's no reason why it can't break out of this channel and get out of it. But I would watch it over 560 for a push to the 565 area, then 570. Gets over 570, then you get this 575, 580 area. 580 is where it's been struggling. It did break out of it a couple times, but it quickly gets shut down. In 590, so all-time high is 593.29. Now if it could break out of that, it's probably going to go to 600, but we'll have to see what the market is having for strength. Now also be aware, like I said, it's at the top of the channel. It's been stuck in this 475 to 575 $100 channel for the last since July. So if the market's poised to pull back, I would definitely be looking at Netflix as a top candidate too, because it's at the top of the weekly channel, and that could have a pretty significant drop as well. Now EA, Electronic Arts. Now EA just has a big cup and handle. You get a cup and you get a handle right here, and if it does manage to get over this 149 area, it's going to make a push to 150, then 151. Now, if it does manage to break the 150, 151 level, it's probably going to break out and make a push to 160. I know this is a little more risky because of the market being as high as it is, but you know, if all it takes is one breakout, one day, it can be a strong day, and when this breaks out, it does pretty decent. I mean, I don't play EA that much because it doesn't really move that much. The daily range on it is like 3 points. So yeah, the low is 131.25 and the high is 135.37. So that's a 4-point range. So I mean, if it breaks out, it could provide a nice 3 or 4 point range on EA. So I would definitely watch that. Next is Facebook. I mean, Facebook is just I don't know, it's just sitting in this area of 280, 260. It's kind of like channeling like Netflix, but if the market's strong and the market keeps pushing up, I think that Facebook could have a nice big run, especially if it can get over this 272 area. Gets over 272, you can get to 280, then you get to 280, you can get 285, even possibly 290. I think Facebook is ready for a big strong move. Now whether it will be this week or not will be something we have to watch, but Facebook has been having very, very tight ranges lately, except for this day. It wasn't too bad, but it usually has big ranges. Like back here it's 267, 270. It's a 10-point move. And what was this one? 73 and 65. That was an 8-point move. Well, a little under 8, 7.5-point move. So I think that Facebook is definitely due for a strong daily move. So we could see that if it does break out of this 272, 273 area, we could definitely see a push to 280 plus on a breakout like that. So we just have to watch that one. QCOM is another one. Now QCOM had news or something with NVIDIA on Friday, and it had that big green candle, but it did sell off. But you get this big gap down from earnings, and I think that if it does manage to get over 150, it's probably going to end up breaking out, go to 152, and then fill the gap. So QCOM could definitely be one that's in for a big move. So I would watch it over 148.50 for push to 150 to 152. Then if it gets over 152, now as you can already see, it made its run to 152 and got rejected. So if it makes another run quickly, like in the next day or two, that I think it'll break out and start filling the gap. QCOM is one of those stocks. It's always does good and strong. And as you can see on the daily, it held the daily support at like 143, 142, and it bounced. So it did hold that area. I was a little worried about that it might fill the bottom gap, but it did hold for now, anyways. And maybe it'll make a run to fill the gap on the from earnings. But if the market is weak, it could run down and fill this gap down here. So QCOM will be watching both, definitely on both directions, depending on what the market's doing. So that's going to do it for the watch list. Just make sure that you're in the room, and please make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video, because that definitely helps me out a lot. This takes a lot of time to do, and that's going to do it. So thank you for watching.